We got to start with ASTS here. This has been incredible. Going back to the daily chart here, 1750 was the low, and the next day, this was January 30th, we put a buy on this thing with strong conviction. I'll summarize the story very quickly. This is a competitor to Starlink. On this day, when it hit 1750, Starlink and Apple came out with some news that Apple was modifying their phones to accommodate Starlink service, which was apparently like a surprise announcement because Apple is working with Globalstar. But then the next day, ASTS came out with a demo with Vodafone showing a far superior service. But in any case, Starlink only works text messages. You need phone modifications for it to work. ASTS, they work with, they have deals with Verizon, AT&T, Vodafone. The phones do not need to be modified, and it's broadband high-speed internet. They did a demo showing this work with like a video call. So, Starlink is nowhere near that. So that was our signal to go in, buy heavy. I've had a big position since then, and we've been trading it as a top pick every single day. Then the next day, there was further news that they got the testing license for Verizon. Now, they got the testing license for AT&T back on January 21st, but it was kind of overlooked January 22nd because it announced the same day they did an offering. So the sentiment on this stock has been really bad since the Trump election, slowly sliding down because people are thinking, Elon Musk, Starlink's going to do better. But the technology is far superior to ASTS. We got stacked catalyst after catalyst after catalyst, turning the sentiment on its head, showing that the technology is much more superior than Starlink. And this thing, technical breakout, look at the weekly chart, look at the daily over the 20 and the 50, look at the weekly over the 20-week moving average, low RSI on the weekly. So this thing, this morning, I predicted a breakout to go the 25 to 26 level. It's highly shorted. So you're seeing a short squeeze developing in action right now, combined with maybe a gamma squeeze. So we've been all over this. And quickly, I'll come to you, Rhett and Godfather, about that in a second. But quickly, I just want to talk about BBI real quick. Someone asked me if we're in it. I traded this a bit. I gave a 670s target, but I sold early. I sold way early, and my size was small. I don't know why I sold before my 670s target, but I remember why. Because it dipped a little bit. I wanted to protect my gains, and I wanted to focus on ASTS. That's what happened. So in any case, let's throw back. Rhett, Godfather, I know... let's start with Rhett, because I know you've been trading ASTS with our community very heavily. Tell us about your ASTS adventures and what you think of it now.
I mean, it's played out perfect the past couple of days. I think we've traded this thing for 3 or 4 days now consecutive, and it's delivered over 50% returns almost every single day. Today was a little less. It was only 48% for me, but I mean, still those gains add up, and it's worked out beautiful. I sold a little too early, so some members in our community should be doing a little better than I did today, but you've been crushing it with the analysis.
Yeah, awesome. I'm in 23 and 25 calls for next week right now, along with the commons. I actually added some 25 calls this week too. All right, Godfather, what are your thoughts on ASTS?
Yeah, I really want to see this break over 25. We've been in this chop zone for 6 months. There's been a few spikes into the high 20s, but they've been sold quickly. I mean, you nailed it. It's about a sentiment shift. There really isn't anything that's changed. There's, I guess, some new eyeballs, and people are starting.
The Vodafone demo, wasn't that new?
Yeah. Yeah, but their abilities in terms of providing broadband for people that are familiar with the story, that hasn't changed. But the fact that it's been shown, it's now front and center again. And I think the key is really what you were talking about. People were concerned that with Trump in power and the closeness of Elon Trump, that they might in some way obstruct the approvals that they would get from the FCC, which is a government-controlled agency. And, that's clearly not been the case. So I think that that's been a big driver of the sentiment. And you are right to key in on the sentiment, because from the technology side, nothing's really changed. From the deployment side, nothing's really changed. They need to get a lot more of these satellites up in terms of broadening the coverage. But there's been some cumulative positive developments here. I think technically you really need to see this through 25 again for the rest of the non-believers and the non-close followers to join in on this thing. And when that happens,
you're right about that. I actually saw the
short position come into play, right? So I don't think we've really seen that. The lift off of 18s, that was a spectacular entry. I don't know. how you called that there, because I wasn't a believer and I didn't get involved until the high 22s, low 23s. So kudos to you on picking that up early.